answer this simple question, the first and foremost thing that you must have in the back of your mind is that there is no correlation between increase in percentage and the absolute value you get afterwards. What do I mean by this? Let me give you a simple analogy. Let's say you have two people, A and B, and let's say A were to get a 60% increase on his salary, and B were to get a 10% increase on his salary. Simple analogy, right? Something that is mimicking the structure of the argument as well. So if A were to receive a 60% hike and B were to receive a 10% hike, do you think this information is enough for us to say that A would be earning more than B? Clearly not, right? Because you realize that we don't have any understanding of what the base salary is. If the base salary here is, let's say, 10 for this guy A, then a 60% increase is just going to make it $16. And if B is, let's say, earning $1,000 to begin with, then a 10% increase is going to make it $1,100. So you understand that unless you don't know what the base value is, you really can't say who's earning more. That's what I meant when I said earlier there is no correlation between increase in percentage and the absolute get afterwards. Here, even though the increase in percentage is greater, you still realize that B is going to be earning just a fraction of what, sorry, A would be earning just a fraction of what B is earning. So if you were to consider different bases, you can flip the conclusion on its head. And this is exactly how the argument is also made. Instead of using A and B, they're using Meadowbrook and Parkdale. And instead of talking about salaries, they're talking about the violent crime rate. So if I say in Meadowbrook, with was 10 on 1000. Now, please understand we have to respect the conditions given in the question. The definition of crime rate is given to us, the number of violent crimes per 1,000 residents. So if you understand that the denominator is set at 1,000, we need to abide by that definition. So if I say that in Meadowbrook, let's say the crime rate before the increase was 10 on 1000, then a 60% increase is going to make it 16 on 1000. And on the other hand, if I say that in Parkdale, the crime rate to begin with was 100 on 1000, then a 10% increase is going to make it 1000. So you understand that if you don't consider the base, then clearly you will reach a wrong conclusion based on just the increase in percentage. So this is the flaw in the argument. What has the author failed to take into account? Author has failed to take into account the base value and has just reached the conclusion on the grounds of increase in percentage. So you see option D here would strike you as the only obvious answer to make sense. Other answer choices are completely irrelevant. A talks about population density. Now please understand population density, or even for that matter population growth, has absolutely nothing to do with the crime rate. And the reason why they don't have anything to do with the crime rate is because the denominator is set at 1000. So whether you have 5 crore people living in a particular city, or you just have, let's say, 50,000 people living in a city, it doesn't really matter because the denominator in each case is going to be just 1000. So because the denominator is set at 1000, it doesn't matter whether you've got 50,000 people or 5 crore people. Density and growth is just not going to play any role in the argument here whatsoever. C talks about rate of non-violent crimes, ratio of non-violent crimes to violent crimes. This is absolutely outside the scope, nothing to do with the base value. E talks about Meadowbrook's expenditures. Neither in the question nor even in this option is there any correlation between expenditures for crime prevention and the final crime rate, right? So even expenditures for crime prevention is going to be completely irrelevant because there is no basis, there is no correlation between expenditures and the crime rate. Leaves you with only option D to go with as the final answer, right? So even if you're using elimination, it'll be fairly straightforward for you to see that A, B, C, and E are completely irrelevant to the argument, and D is the only one that makes sense. So then you can easily get down to D as the answer and move ahead to the next one. Very, very important pattern on the exam. Number percentage is one of the trickiest topics that gets tested on the exam. So really important to ensure that you're able to understand this right in the beginning. Great. I think Shravya, you got this one